Today is National Be a Millionaire Day. Now, while it may sound like an unachievable goal, retirement may require more than $1 million to live comfortably. This morning, we have some tips to make sure you're saving enough. Joining us this morning is local financial professional Erik Krom from Clear Creek Advisors. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
This is really important that we talk about. I know that saving is kind of uncomfortable sometimes, talking about retirement and how much you need for retirement. So on average, how much are people saving for retirement?
Well, as you can imagine, not quite enough.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a sobering statistic when you start to tear apart the numbers, but 35-year-olds are somewhere around $50,000 on average. And even though it's a bigger number, retirees 65 to 75 are somewhere close to about 600,000, which really probably still isn't enough.
Right. I mean, we're talking you probably need $1 million with where things are right now with inflation and everything. How do you know kind of generally how much you should be saving depending on your age?
Yeah, you said the $1 million number, right? That used to be kind of the rule of thumb, but with inflation going up and living longer, that's probably just not a big enough number. So we teach our clients about something called the hurdle rate. It's actually the rate of return that you need to accomplish everything that you want to accomplish. So, live the way you want to live. Take care of taxes, take care of inflation, put some money away for long-term care, because obviously those expenses can be pretty significant. And when you find out what rate of return you need, that's really, in our opinion, a better way than just kind of an abstract number, because ultimately everybody's so different that
right.
$1 million, what that might mean for somebody just may not be enough for somebody else.
Why do you need to be saving $1 million plus for retirement? Like, what do those expenses look like?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it is very different from one person to the next, but I think it really does boil down to the fact that when the rule of thumb of $1 million was put into place, people just weren't living near as long as
right.
they do now. And with inflation, I mean, obviously right now we're all feeling the impacts of that with the cost of living getting more and more every year and living longer. You put those two things together, and obviously $1 million just may not be enough.
And then on top of it, you have to add in long-term care, which can be so expensive and it can liquidate those savings so quickly. So talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, similarly, I think the first thing is you got to have a track. You got to know what it would mean. The statistics, again, are pretty significant. Something like 70% of Americans will need some form of a long-term care expense. And there's really two ways to approach it. You can self-insure it, which is generally just paying out of pocket, or you can look at some type of insurance. So when we talk to our clients from a self-insured perspective, taxes become a really big deal, because if all your money's in 401ks or IRAs, when you go to get the money, there's a big tax consequence of the additional expense. From an insurance perspective, there's a lot of stuff out there. So there's your traditional long-term care, which has been around for a long time, and then there's a lot of hybrid solutions. So that really boils down to just kind of looking and exploring your options. So one, you decide if you should self-insure or get insurance, and if you do, go the route of insurance, what product is the best type of product for you.
This is why meeting with a professional, I think, is so important, especially early on, because there are ways that you can pay taxes up front, because you don't know what taxes are going to look like down the road. So there are a lot of ways to make sure that you're preparing yourself, your family for the future, no matter what comes down the line.
Yeah, I think you said it. It's scary, right? Taking a look, it's like anything, college planning, tax planning, investments. It's just scary to take a look because you don't want to know what track you're on, and if you're not, in a great position. But like anything else, the sooner you figure it out, the sooner you get an idea, the sooner you can start to take some steps, maximize savings, maximize investments. Like you said, do tax planning, long-term care planning. The sooner you get on that stuff, the better you're going to be.
Yeah, really great advice. Thank you so much for coming in.
As always, thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it.